loves. Welcome to Life's Just Cray. I'm Kate, and this is where we talk through real life situations that have you up until 2 a.m. talking with your bestie like, okay, but what would you do though? Real situations, real talk, no fluff. My grandma always said you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's exactly how I move on this show. Everything I say comes from my own experience, and I'm not a professional, but I'm also not here to tell you what to do. But it might help. Now, let's get into it. So I came across this situation, and it falls right into relationships, and honestly, we need to talk about it.
I am 29 years old, and I have been with my boyfriend Derek for 3 years. When we first got together, he was charming, attentive, and I genuinely felt like I had found my person. He remembered the little things. He made me feel seen. I fell fast, and I do not regret that. What I do regret is not paying closer attention to what was right in front of me. It started small enough that I convinced myself it was normal. He forgot to pay a bill, so I reminded him. He missed an appointment, so I helped him reschedule. He didn't know how to cook much, so I started making dinner most nights. I told myself this was just what being a supportive partner looked like. I genuinely believed that. But small became medium, and medium became everything. 3 years later, I am the one managing our entire household. I track our shared finances. I plan every trip, every outing, every dinner. I remember his family members' birthdays and remind him to call. I make sure the fridge is stocked, the bills are paid, the apartment is clean, and his schedule is organized. All of this on top of my own full-time job and my own responsibilities. Derek goes to work, comes home, plays video games, and waits for dinner. He is not a bad person. He does not treat me poorly, but he moves through our life like a passenger while I drive, navigate, fuel the car, and fix the tires all at the same time. 6 weeks ago, I had the worst week I have had in years at work. A project I had been leading for months fell apart publicly, and I took the blame for it in front of my entire team. I came home that Friday, completely destroyed. I just needed someone to hold me and tell me it was going to be okay. Derek ordered takeout, watched TV for 2 hours, and fell asleep on the couch by 9:30. He never once asked how my week went. He didn't notice I had been quiet all evening. I sat alone in our bedroom that night and cried harder than I have in years. Not just about work, about all of it. About how invisible I felt inside my own relationship. When I brought it up the next morning, he said he had no idea I was struggling and that I should have just told him. That response hurt more than the night before. I should not have to tell a grown man to check on the person he loves. I should not have to ask to be seen. I have tried talking to him about this before, multiple times. He listens, apologizes, says he will do better, and 2 weeks later, we are right back where we started. The cycle is so consistent, I have stopped believing the apologies. I love Derek, but I am exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with sleep. I am exhausted from being the only one holding everything together. I am 29 years old. I did not sign up to be anyone's mother. I signed up to be someone's partner. Is this fixable, or have I just spent 3 years ignoring something that was always going to end up here?
And let me tell you something. One of the things I noticed when I heard this situation is that the core of what you're feeling comes down to one thing. You do not feel comforted by Derek when you need it the most. And that's real and valid, and it deserves to be addressed directly. But before we get into that, whether Derek is or isn't doing anything, I want to ask you something that I really think is important here. Has Derek actually heard you say what's going on at work? Not just seen you come through the door looking tired or quiet or off, but actually heard you say the words out loud? Because here's something that does not get talked about enough when it comes to the people who love us. Some people are really good at reading a room and picking up on emotional cues. And some people genuinely can't tell that something's wrong. And that doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes them human. So before you decide that Derek doesn't care, I need you to honestly ask yourself whether you've actually told him what's going on, or whether you've been hoping he would figure it out on its own through the signals. Because hoping and telling are two different things, and one of them actually gets results. Now, with that said, if you have told him, and if you have sat down and said, hey, I'm really struggling right now, work has been really hard, I need you to show up for me right now, and his response is just to turn back to the video game and tune you out completely, that's a different conversation entirely. Because at that point, it's no longer about him knowing or not knowing. It's about him choosing not to respond. And that matters. And honestly, that's when you need to go full 90s mode on him. And I'm talking about walking over to that console and just unplugging it. Not because you want his attention anytime he's gaming, and not because video games are the enemy, but because you've been trying to get through to him and he's so locked into that screen that you can't even get a real response out of him. And at that point, unplugging it is not an overreaction. It's the only way to make him understand that what you're saying right now is more important than whatever's happening on that screen. And trust me, he will hear you then. But I want to be really clear about something. This is not a tool you use every time you just want his undivided attention. This is specifically for the moments where you've already tried to communicate and you've been patient, you've already given him the chance to hear you the normal way, and it's just not getting through, and your needs aren't getting met. That's when you make it impossible for him to ignore you. There's a difference between demanding attention and demanding to be heard. You're doing the latter, and that's completely fair. Because here's the thing about Derek. You have been in this relationship for 3 years. You love him, and you say yourself that he's not a bad person. So give him the chance to actually hear you before you decide he's not choosing to. Tell him out loud what exactly you need. Be specific. Don't hint. And don't hope. Just say it clearly and give him the opportunity to show up for you. And if he still cannot meet you halfway after that, then you have a much clearer picture of what you are actually dealing with. But try the conversation first and see if the game gets in the way. If so, you know what to do. Alrighty, loves. That's all I got for you today, and you already know where to find me. Slide into the DMs with your situation, and you might just hear it on the next episode. And if this one hit home for you, share it with someone who needs it, because that is what we do. And remember, just because I've said this advice doesn't mean you have to take it. You're the maker of your own decisions, but you must also be willing to deal with the consequences of your actions, if there are any. Until next time, take care of yourself.